Yeah.
Tamales. Mango chili, mango chili.
Mango chili,
Mango chili.
Y'all, that is the absolute best. It really is.
Hey, when you live in California, you live in SoCal, man, them be them subtle snacks that you enjoy.
And they have the drive.
All right, man. So we are back with another freaking video, man. It's time. It is time again, man. So you know I'm always going to do reference the laboratory. The laboratory is PragerU. PragerU is always have great information. So I wanted to get a full understanding of what the WaterGate is. There were so many videos out there about WaterGate, but PragerU always gets directly to the point. So we're going to do a reaction, get an understanding of what WaterGate really was. Because I always thought it had something to do with water. The water file. The H2O alkaline files.
Listen, I have it's a lot.
You got a what now? You got an understanding?
I'm sure they're going to make it simple.
Going to make it simple, guys? Tamales.
The most famous political scandal in American history is, of course, Watergate. It's so famous that even now, 50 years after it happened, almost every scandal of any kind comes with an obligatory gate after it. If you ask most people to explain what Watergate was all about, they draw a blank.
Right.
If they know a bit of history, or perhaps they lived through it, they might say something like this. It was about a bungled break-in that brought down a president. That's true, but the break-in is the least significant part of the story.
Right.
Watergate was first and foremost a political war between the president, Richard Nixon, and the media, which in those pre-cable days meant ABC, CBS, NBC, the New York Times, and the Washington Post. The media's aim, in the words of British historian Paul Johnson, was to use publicity to reverse the electoral verdict of 1972. Why? What did the media have against Nixon? That's a complex question, but we can essentially boil it down to three things. One, he was despised by the East Coast liberal elite, of which the Washington Press Corps was a key component. Two, he was a staunch anti-communist. The media considered the communist threat to be overblown. Three, he refused to abandon South Vietnam. Nixon insisted on a peace with honor. The media was entirely anti-war. Even though Nixon spent most of his adult life in New York and Washington, he never fit in. Born in a small town in California, there were no Ivy League degrees on his resume. To make matters worse, while not being a part of McCarthyism, he made his reputation aggressively exposing Alger Hiss, a communist in the U.S. State Department.
Hey, this is great. It's
is.
right to the point.
It is. Am I loud enough? I feel like I'm not loud, but it's okay.
You don't hear yourself?
I hear myself, but not as loud as I hear you. That's way better.
Oh, there we go.
Thank you.
This is great, and it's great to the point. And there's some things about Nixon I didn't even know. I didn't know he was from California.
I didn't either. I like how he's explaining it too. It's like piece by piece by piece, so it's easier for you to understand. Yep. So the overall battle was between
Nixon and the media.
Yeah.
Was Nixon a Republican or a Democrat?
I want to say Republican.
Well, I'm thinking he Republican because they're covering him.
Yeah,
but I was thinking he was a Republican.
He gave the Republican Party a bad rep. Let's go.
And in the late 1940s. After serving as vice president under Dwight Eisenhower for 8 years, he ran against and nearly defeated John F. Kennedy, the paragon of East Coast elitism, in 1960. Then, 8 years later, and much to the media's dismay, Nixon mounted an improbable political comeback to win that year's presidential election.
Wonder how.
And then, as if rubbing the media's nose in it, he won again in a 49-state landslide in 1972.
Wow.
Something had to be done. Ironically, Nixon's own people provided the opportunity the media had been waiting for. On June 17, 1972, 5 men associated with the Nixon re-election campaign broke into the offices of the Democratic National Committee headquarters in the WaterGate office building in Washington, D.C. Presumably, they intended to gather information about the Democrats' campaign strategy.
Okay.
Whatever their purpose, it was a painfully dumb plan that turned catastrophic when the burglars were caught in the act and arrested by D.C. police. Nixon found out about it, like everyone else, in the morning papers. Initially, he didn't think it was a big deal. I had been in politics.
Now, I will say, I don't think he found out about it. I'm sure he was well aware of the forces and powers that be told him on the sideline, hey, we're gonna do the thing at about 12:30.
Just a little different from how
I think
video has explained
I think he's explaining it more from a right view. So if he's a Republican, that makes more sense. How he's explaining it is more in favor. But I do want to just so I'm clear, so I'm not guessing through this entire video. This should be just a really quick Google search.
I really like how he is, breaking it down and giving you like simple bits and pieces versus a lot of extra added detail. He said, found out about it. Is that really
He
what
was
happened?
Republican, so that's
Okay.
why.
Yeah.
That's why Prager
That's what I
there is more in favor versus when I kind of glanced at some other videos and it was kind of more like it wasn't in favor.
He kind of
It
tainted
showed
the party.
it was more demonized. So
Tainted the party.
right.
It's too long, he later wrote, and had seen everything from dirty tricks to vote fraud. I could not muster much moral outrage over a political bugging. Today, most would conclude that if he had simply acknowledged his campaign's responsibility, owned it, as we say, fired those responsible and apologized, the whole sorry mess would have been rendered the minor incident it was. But as historian Evan Thomas noted, Nixon wasn't paying attention, and when he was confronted with the problems below deck, he didn't really engage. By the time he did, it was too late. So the scandal grew beyond his control. 3 men made sure of that: a publicity-seeking judge, a revenge-seeking FBI official, and a partisan special prosecutor.
He was
The
definitely
judge was
Republican.
John Sirica. Suspecting a vast conspiracy, Sirica threatened the burglars with lifetime prison sentences if they didn't rat out the people who authorized the crime.
Oh man.
The media loves Sirica. For a time, he was the most famous jurist in the country. The vengeful official was FBI Deputy Director Mark Felt, known by his code name, Deep Throat. Felt thought that he deserved to become the...
That has to be the absolute worst name that a man can have. Who gave him that, and why would you Deep Throat? Because you held things low, But that's a terrible name. You could call you Deep or something, But Deep Throat, come.
the head of the FBI, but Nixon appointed someone else. So Felt leaked a steady stream of tips to the Washington Post writing team of Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein. Meeting secretly, he told them where to look and what questions to ask.
Wow.
Without him, the duo would have gotten nowhere. Because of him, they became folk heroes. With Sirica applying pressure from the bench and Felt from inside the FBI, the White House defenses began to weaken, then crack, and then shatter. Special Prosecutor Archibald Cox piled on, appointing 34 Democrat lawyers to investigate nearly every aspect of the Nixon administration.
Oh.
In April of 1973, White House counsel John Dean, the chief desk officer of the cover-up, turned on his boss, testifying against the president in Senate hearings before a huge national TV audience.
This just got me thinking. You know how the entire time that you hear about Richard Nixon, I don't know all of what Richard Nixon did. I don't know how he was on race and black people and minority people. I don't know. But I'm going to say, particularly for the scandal stuff, what if it was just a replica, or what if it was just what's going on now, but he wasn't such a bad president, but they painted the picture so dark on him, it just made him seem like a terrible man?
That's a good question. I've never really researched further into the scandal, or I never really researched further what he did under his presidency.
Yeah.
That was like on my list. I was kind of starting here and then working my way back.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see some of the things that he may have done, for the country when he was president.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As the political jeopardy grew, Nixon naturally became more involved. One biographer wrote, "To Nixon, this was all routine hardball, but really this was quicksand. The more he struggled, the deeper he sank.
Yeah.
He was caught in the cover-up. When it emerged that many of Nixon's private conversations were recorded, his fate was sealed.
Wow.
Citing executive privilege, he tried to keep the tapes from Sirica and Congress. On July 24, 1974, the Supreme Court ruled against the president. The support of Republican senators far from assured and deeply concerned that an impeachment trial would paralyze the country in the middle of the Cold War, Nixon was boxed in. He resigned from office on August 9th, the first and only president to do so.
Wow.
The media had its victory and a newfound sense of power. The country has not been the same since. I'm Hugh Hewitt for Prager University. Thank you for watching.
So he doesn't make it sound as bad as the other.
No,
people did.
the other sources made it seem like most
They really-
terrible, scandalous president on planet Earth.
Yeah, they really painted a picture of that he was trying to win the presidency. So he had people, go in, break in to make it appear
It
to
looked
be that.
terrible.
Yeah.
It looked terrible.
It did.
Snap a wife.
But he made it seem like it wasn't as bad.
I know that felt different. It was like
It did.
It felt like the everybody else was terrible and Richard Nixon was good and they were attacking him. That's what it felt like on there.
But apparently it was bad because he resigned.
But think how many other impeachments have come in place.
But he was
they've
the
never
only one that
left.
Exactly. So what's the point of the
Bill
impeachment?
Clinton, Trump.
So what's the point of the impeachment if
Probably
you're
Biden.
not going to leave? What does that lessen your power of authority to say
does.
you're impeached? I got to look that up to see what it truly means to impeach a president, because it seems like they're getting fired, but if they're still in office, what does that mean? What's the whole point of it?
That's why I was curious to know. I think everybody, when they think impeachment, we all resort back and think about Richard Nixon. And you think when you get impeached, you're about to be left office. But technically, you might be sitting there doing your thing regularly until
So
you
what does that
completely
mean?
leave office for your term.
Right. So does that lessen some of your power? I don't know. But that's something to look up. So I need to add that to
When
my
they were
list.
trying to come after with Trump like that, I don't know if there was power. He was still doing him.
Right.
But I'm sure pretty much because he was privy and he was informed and updated on what that means and what that really affects. Mm-hmm. That might just mean, you can't use the free coffee machine. I'm just saying it might not mean much. It might not have meant anything.
So if that's the case, then why do they go so hard to impeach a president? But this president needs to be fired.
I go hard in the paint, leave
The
you
one
stinking.
that's in office right now, your boy, he needs to be fired and pulled out. And he needs to resign like your boy Nixon.
He's not now.
He needs to resign.
But you know what made me nervous? Colonel Magruder was talking about how he feels like even Colonel Magruder is a Republican and he's going for Trump. But he feels like what's going to happen is
He's
feels
going
like
for Trump?
yes, he's for Trump.
Oh, okay.
But he said what he thinks is going to happen. They're going to complete their mission of stopping Trump, and then they're going to get Michelle or Gavin in there because they haven't announced. Those two haven't jumped up, but he said they're going to get Michelle or Gavin in there just like they want, and they're going to stop Trump. That's what that made me uncomfortable.
He's only giving an opinion.
That made me uncomfortable.
He's just giving his views.
When a seasoned person say something, it made me uncomfortable.
I'm not sold out on that completely.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sold.
Okay.
I'm not sold. Too many other things that need to transpire. I'm not sold.
Yeah.
I just don't think so.
Don't think so.
Yeah, I think Trump is gonna make it this time.
Okay.
Yep. Let's go.
Okay. All right, man. I pray he makes it too, boy.
Because
Father, in the name of Jesus, please.
We don't need more of what's already in office right now to come in and destroy the country
wreck shop.
Right, make it worse. No.
All right, man. Like, comment, subscribe.
I was trying to add my note.
Oh,
like,
go ahead.
comment, subscribe. Don't think of nose that coming down the section below if you want some more. If you want some more.
If I wasn't mistaken, I thought I'd say that.
Yeah. Wow, 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 wow. That's all, folks.
We gone, y'all. Bye bye.